I'm Ethan Mitchell, 26, freelance graphic designer, living alone in a cramped apartment that's cluttered with sketches, old coffee cups, and more screens than anyone really needs. It's a quiet life, one that's become more like a routine than a choice, especially in recent months. The world outside feels distant, like a radio station playing at a low frequency, just barely audible, but never clear enough to fully tune into. I'm not one for socializing. Friends, I haven't seen them in months. Family, well, we're not exactly close. It's easier this way. Less noise, less distraction. The isolation doesn't bother me much. At least, that's what I tell myself. The nights, however, have become increasingly unsettling. I spend them hunched over my computer, working on freelance projects. My mind and eyes strained from hours of staring at the same pixelated designs. Lately, though, something's been off. It started with little things, static sounds on the edge of my hearing, a flicker in the corner of my vision. At first I thought it was just the strain of too many sleepless nights, too many double shots of espresso. But as the days go on, it's harder to ignore. One night, around 3 a.m., I was sitting in my dimly lit room, the glow of the computer screen casting long shadows on the walls. It was late, too late, but I couldn't sleep. Scrolling through a few random websites, checking emails I never bothered to open. That's when it came. A new email, one that hadn't appeared before in my inbox. No subject. The sender's name was simply, I hesitated. It wasn't like I didn't get spam, but this one felt different. I'd never heard of the sender, yet somehow it felt familiar. The message body was a single line of text. You're not alone. The email was empty, nothing but that chilling sentence and a link embedded at the bottom. I clicked it without thinking, just curiosity pulling at me, even though every part of me told me not to. It didn't open a website though. Instead, it downloaded a file, a video. It was a short clip, about 10 seconds long, but I couldn't see the whole thing at first. The screen was glitching, static filled the corners. I could barely make out the image, but it was a reflection of something, a person, or was it me? My reflection wasn't quite right. The eyes were too dark. The figure was slumped, as if it was too tired to stand. I hit pause. Who sent this? But that's when I heard something odd. A faint static noise, like an old radio trying to tune in. It wasn't coming from my speakers, it was coming from my headphones, right next to my ears. Just as I was about to rip them off, the message popped up on screen. You saw me. I closed my laptop in a panic. I couldn't stop thinking about that email. No matter how hard I tried to distract myself, the words, "You saw me," kept echoing in my mind. I didn't sleep at all that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the figure from the reflection, its empty, dark eyes staring back at me. I knew it wasn't my own reflection, but something else, something darker. The next day, I forced myself to go about my routine. Work, grocery store, anything that could get my mind off that damn video. But when I came home that evening, I was greeted by the unmistakable sound of scratching coming from the hallway. I froze. I lived alone, and I knew I'd locked the door before I left. The scratching continued, growing louder, as if something or someone was trying to claw its way through the wall. I couldn't bring myself to look. Slowly, I crept toward the hallway, the floorboards creaking under my weight. The lights flickered overhead, and I felt the weight of the air shift, like someone was right behind me. The scratching stopped. Then, a soft voice whispered my name. I whipped around, heart hammering in my chest, but the hallway was empty. I was alone, but the air, it was thick, as if something unseen was pressing against me. I wasn't sure what I was hearing, what I was feeling, but I knew something was in my home. I rushed to my bedroom and locked the door. The next morning, I stood in front of my bathroom mirror, brushing my teeth. The routine felt like a fragile illusion of normalcy, but something about today was off. I glanced at myself in the mirror, my tired eyes, disheveled hair, but then I saw it. I couldn't tell if I'd imagined it at first. The reflection, at least my reflection, was fine, but behind me, there was something, a figure, tall, gaunt, with eyes too black to be human. It was standing just behind me, so close that I could feel its breath on the back of my neck. I spun around. Nothing, but in the mirror, it was still there, that thing. The figure didn't move, but its eyes, it was looking right at me. I felt my breath catch. I couldn't look away. It was as though the mirror was no longer showing me the reflection of the room behind me, but a completely different one. I was no longer standing in my bathroom. I was somewhere else, somewhere dark. "Stop," I whispered, my voice shaking. The figure in the mirror tilted its head, as though it understood what I said. The reflection's mouth twisted into a grin. I shut my eyes, trying to break the gaze. When I opened them again, it was gone. My reflection was normal, but the atmosphere felt wrong. The house, the world itself, felt empty. Days passed. The strange occurrences only grew worse. I could feel eyes on me, even when no one was around, and I couldn't stop hearing the static whispering, always there, no matter where I went. I tried to forget about the email, the video, but I couldn't. It felt like the thing in the reflection was getting closer. Then, just as I thought I couldn't take it anymore, I got another email, same sender, no subject. The message was just, "You saw me again." Another link. I clicked it, even though I knew I shouldn't. The video opened, but this time, it wasn't just a glitchy reflection. It was me, or at least, someone who looked like me. But the room around this version of MIT was wrong. It was dark. The walls were bare, the floors scratched and worn. It wasn't my room. But the thing that caught my eye wasn't the room. It was the figure standing next to the mirror, holding something, my reflection. The person in the video, who wasn't me, was looking right at the camera, a twisted smile plastered on its face. I watched in horror as the figure in the video raised its hand, pointing toward the camera, directly at me. I could feel it, a coldness creeping up my spine. The reflection of the figure in the video began to move. It began to crawl towards me. That's when I realized I wasn't looking at a recording. I was looking at my own future. I closed the laptop, but the static followed me. It was inside my head, a constant hum, growing louder. I couldn't escape it. I needed to get out of there, to leave, but I couldn't move. I was paralyzed by fear. Then, the door opened. It was me standing there. I wasn't sure if I was seeing it correctly. Was it the reflection? The person from the video? No, it was me, but different. The eyes were dark, too dark, and the smile, it wasn't mine. It wasn't human. I opened my mouth to scream, but no sound came out. The figure reached out, and as it touched my arm, the world around me faded into static. The last thing I remember was a voice in my ear, cold as ice. "You saw me, and now you're mine." I hope you're just as intrigued as I am. If you've experienced something like this, or maybe you're starting to feel like you're not alone, drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you're not already, don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss what happens next. Because, trust me, you won't want to miss it. Stay safe, and remember, the strange things we overlook might be closer than we think. Until next time.